Welcome back. Thank you for staying with the broadcast. Castries East MP Dr. Ernest Hilaire is responding to concerns raised by the United Workers' Party over his involvement in the appointment of Walid Jufali, saying he was expecting the move. Dr. Hilaire says whilst transparency has been an issue within both political parties, all the facts surrounding Jufali have been made available to the government, as the SLP has nothing to hide. Rochelle Gonzalez reports.
Just days after the United Workers' Party issued a statement raising speculation over the international diplomatic affair which involved the appointment of former Saudi billionaire Walid Jufali, the former High Commissioner to the United Kingdom has fired back from a state of preparedness following the recent mention of the matter in a bombshell report from international media station Al Jazeera. During the report titled Diplomats for Sale, St. Lucia, alongside 5 other Caribbean nations, were portrayed in a negative light. This report prompted the UWP to level questions at the opposition party, namely Dr. Hilaire and Dr. Kenny Anthony, asking a number of questions, including whether Dr. Hilaire knew that Dr. Jufali was seeking a diplomatic appointment purely for diplomatic immunity status, and whether he or any member of the Labour Party received any benefits for issuing Jufali's diplomatic passport. On Monday, Dr. Hilaire rubbished the concerns.
This is almost expected. It happened almost every day leading up to the election in 2016. It has continued. The Prime Minister was sued for it, for saying things which were libelous and defamatory, and it has continued. And it will continue again. And it will continue again and again and again. So I was not surprised by the United Workers' Party statement. And I think in the response, the Labour Party tried to make it very clear what the situation was.
Dr. Hilaire said when the need arose, the St. Lucia Labour Party was more than open and provided all the details and documentation available to show the legitimacy of Jufali's appointment.
And the Prime Minister has at his disposal all the documentation. And I know that for a fact because as part of our court case, all the documents were made available to him by myself, so he knew all that had taken place. And certainly when the government changed in 2016, he had an opportunity to continue because there were documents, there were letters of commitment, there were feasibility studies done, there were road maps prepared, there were a number of St. Lucian professionals involved in the process, and they did nothing about it, out of spite, obviously, just like they stopped the St. Jude Hospital project, just like they did not commence the operationalization of the OKEU. And it was that.
On the topic of transparency, Dr. Hilaire admitted that more could have been done and more should still be done to be open with the people.
There is the issue of transparency, which I will not deny. Sometimes government does not say everything that it is doing. That's true, and one cannot deny that. But there's also the fact that things are said, but people are not listening to them. What we listen to are sometimes the things that are hot and sensational. Let me give you an example. Going through notes on this matter again, just to refresh my memory. In the throne speech, it was mentioned, the throne speech of April 2015, the Governor General mentioned that we will be enacting legislation for the establishment of a diabetes research center. She said so, but nobody seemed to have focused on that. In May 2016, Alvina Reynolds, as Minister of Health, had a press conference where she announced the diabetes research center. Nobody really focused on that. But when the Jufali matter arose, everybody say, which diabetes center? We never got one, we never knew nothing about that, nobody ever said anything about that. But I can show you the documents. I can actually show you coverage from the media.
The project, Dr. Hilaire said, was scrapped when the UWP administration came into power. He went on to say that he cannot wait for the court matter to be settled so that the documents can be made public, thus allowing the masses to judge for themselves. Reporting for Hot 7 News, I'm Rochelle Gonzalez.
Discussions surrounding the viral video of child abuse at the hands of an irate aunt are continuing, with one concerned citizen looking into the way in which conflict resolution is taught. Adrian Auger says it is a good thing that the nation is currently split on the issue of corporal punishment, as it is a delicate area in need of deep assessment. Rochelle Gonzalez reports.
If we strip away our humanity by not nurturing it, by not embracing each other and finding ways to talk to each other, then we're going to be at war. We're destined to be at war, and the war will take on its most vile form unless we put something else in place.
This was the sentiment shared by one concerned member of society, Adrian Auger, after viewing a viral video of an aunt verbally and physically abusing her niece. Auger poured his heart out on social media in a written piece titled "On the Whipping of Our Children," where he spoke about the deep-rooted culture of corporal punishment, particularly among black folk, and called for society to look into exploring other avenues to discipline children. He started out by stating that whilst he is no child care or psychology expert, the content of the video was disheartening enough to elicit his response. He said the physical aspect was not the worst of the aunt's actions.
The verbal abuse of the child, in fact, this is not a child, this is a young lady. This is probably a pubescent young lady whose character is being formed, whose personality is being shaped, whose value system is now coming to the fore. She herself coming to maturity. And I felt particularly offended by the nature of language. And as I said in my initial response on Facebook, that the physical abuse was bad enough, but the verbal abuse is a pain that will not pass, because it seemed to me that there was the worst kind of denigration of the person.
Auger said, "We are a society that has grown up with corporal punishment in homes, schools, and communities, and so today it is a good thing that the nation is now torn on whether it is still necessary." He said he does not subscribe to this form of discipline, as he believes in other ways without resorting to violence. Whilst it is a case of parental discretion over the methods used, he said, he still thinks there are lines that should not be crossed.
As to whether or not you believe in two hot slaps swiftly applied to a disobedient child, that's a personal judgment, and parents will decide whether they should or they shouldn't. They will decide. I am personally against violence of that nature, and I have, on seeing it in public, gone up to parents and say, please don't do that. In particular, where it's cross-gender.
Auger said cross-gender corporal punishment, particularly in the cases of fathers beating daughters, is especially destructive, as it instills the wrong message of subservience and the acceptance of abuse from the opposite gender in later years of life. Reporting for Hot 7 News, I'm Rochelle Gonzalez.
There was quick response by the St. Lucia Fire Service on Monday, the 2nd of December, to control the spread of toxic gases at the Sir Ira Simmons Secondary School. Divisional Officer in the St. Lucia Fire Service, David Antoine, provides details on the matter.
We made that response, and we were able to, with the assistance of the lab technicians, contain the compound. We involved solid waste and environmental health as well to have given us direction as to the proper disposal of the compound, which we have done successfully through the assistance. So yes, the incident did happen, and as we speak, they must be at the landfill disposing of it safely. It would give off toxic fumes that can be harmful to personnel inhaling within the immediate vicinity. So it had to be contained as soon as possible to prevent injury, even at the secondary school, to students and teachers and those persons using the compound.
Meanwhile, the fire service responded to a number of ambulance calls over the weekend, 98 in total. 9 were motor vehicular accidents, 4 physical assaults, and 1 shooting. Antoine provides details about the most pressing matters.
On Saturday, November 30th, at approximately 2:24 a.m., fire officers from the Vieux-Fort Fire Station responded to a shooting incident at Bruceville, Vieux-Fort. On arrival at the scene, emergency personnel attended to a young male for a bullet wound to the head. He was further assessed and found unresponsive with negative vitals. He was subsequently transported to the St. Jude's Hospital, where he was pronounced dead by a medical practitioner. On Saturday, November 30th at approximately 10:18 a.m., fire officers from the Babano Fire Station responded to a motor vehicular collision at Rodney Heights between a motor car and a motorcycle. On arrival at the scene, emergency personnel assessed and treated the rider of the motorcycle for abrasions about the body. He was subsequently transported to the Victoria Hospital for further medical treatment.
The St. Lucia Fire Service continues to advocate for safety and security of all road users, asserting the need to exercise caution, especially during the busy Christmas season. Residents from the Marigot development say when it rains, it certainly pours. That was the description to shed light on what the residents consider to be deplorable and unacceptable conditions of their roads.
The Marigot development located in the Castries South District is being stirred up by what residents say is a major inconvenience with their roadways. One resident, Matilda Glasgow, says the situation has gotten so unbearable she is forced to park her vehicle and rather opts to ride the bus instead.
For the past weeks, I've not been going to work with my vehicle because it's a low vehicle and the holes are wide and deep. Even if it's not raining, it's like you driving through a river.
Residents say the issue has spanned for over 3 years, with each successive year leading to a worsening of the roads. Longtime resident John Glasgow details the lengths he has gone to rectify the situation. However, he says at every turn seems to be a brick wall with no doorway for assistance.
People are not even able to walk with the Cranford area. The chairman of housing, which is the head of this area, is Mr. Timothy Mangal. I've gone to him in person, he never showed up. You speak to him, he play you no man. Things has gotten from bad to worse. I mean, like you see, we all have vehicles. You drove through here, you saw all the deep trenches. When you come out working a whole day and you end up in that deep trench with all that water, all you have to do is buy this next morning. Who pays for that? Nobody.
Governance of the Marigot development falls under the auspice of Parliamentary Representative for Castries South, Dr. Ernest Hilaire. He says he continues to champion the cause of the people. However, the words are falling on deaf ears.
We've been given assurances for the last 2 years that the road will be repaired. And if you travel along the Bassett Joseph Road, it's equally bad. We've been told it would have been done last financial year. It was not done last financial year. We were assured this year it would be done this financial year. It has still not been done. And the roads are deteriorating. Worse, Marigot is one of the leading tourist destinations in St. Lucia. Especially as the season has started, almost every day there'll be coasters and visitors coming to Marigot because of the scenic value of Marigot. And again, the road continues to deteriorate, and we've been asking and asking. And sooner or later, the residents will take serious action because they are not getting the kind of response that they want from the ministry.
The residents are adamant some level of resolve must be brought to alleviate the worsening condition of the roads at the Marigot development. Meanwhile, Glasgow quantifies the problem and says it's 10 out of 10, a major inconvenience for residents. She likens the potholes to deep trenches, allowing for large water puddles to form that she says affects everyone who uses the roads. Reporting for Hot 7 News, I am Solange Alfred.
This is the Hot 7 TV Nightly News. Stay with us. There's more news coming up after the break.